a little more than 4 years of Ecourse, right? How many people are we talking about that are now considered alumni once this year is completed?
It's fun to learn something new. And you meet people, interesting people from all over the world. If people want to cheat their way, they can do it. Mm-hmm. But we advocate for responsible use of AI. Then we ask people, okay, share your prompt and reflect on the response that you get.
Welcome to the Beehive, the podcast that explores the world of the Netherlands Food Partnership. Each episode, we'll be talking with a team member here at NFP, looking at projects they're involved in, who else is part of that partnership, and what real-life impact does their work have. So join us, tune in, and welcome to the Beehive. And I'm sitting across from Wim Goris. Hello, Wim.
Hi.
And Wim, on our menu of projects here at NFP, we have, of course, the Ecourse that you are busy with and have been for some time. And maybe on that note, we start with the beginning. How did the Ecourse start?
Yeah, actually it started in 2021. That was in preparation of the Food System Summit in New York. The Dutch government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they wanted to prepare their staff, embassy staff, and the people working at the ministry to get a grips with the whole concept of food systems, which is about systems thinking, and it's different from value chain approach or market developments. It's much more about healthy diets and reaching zero hunger in 2030. So the summit was very important, and it's been followed up this year with Food Systems Forum +4.
+4, yeah.
Yeah, and that's first time happening in Africa, in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. We had this opportunity from the ministry to share what was developed for the ministry staff, to share it with our network. So we opened up and we asked for, and there were many people interested. Yeah. So we have had hundreds of participants. The first time was 500, and now our capacity is about 800 individual participants who join the Ecourse. Yeah.
So if we look at 2025, for example, what is when people apply for the Ecourse, what are they applying for?
Basically a 4-week online training. It has self-study, and that's what you can do in your own time, in your own speed. And as we have collected so many different items, people can choose what they like most, because it's about their own region or about their field of practice. That's what they do. They gain enough points to proceed to the next module, and at the end, they can download the certificate. People find that appreciation very important. Meanwhile, every week we also have webinars, and then we try to have a scholar from Wageningen University or the network around Wageningen University. They're the main partner in design and facilitating the Ecourse.
Wageningen being the main partner in Ecourse, in facilitating the Ecourse, but I notice from the outside or inside outside, that there's seemingly an all-star list of people who are involved with speaking to students or leading webinars.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's where, thank you. So we, apart from the modules of self-paced learning, we have weekly webinars, and we usually combine a scholar from the circles of Wageningen University with a practitioner. And sometimes it's people who have been in the Ecourse before, and have an interesting experience to share, or they belong to another network like Gain. And the combination between the more theoretical part and the research part, plus but what can you do next Monday with it? It's really fascinating. I see people really connecting to the examples that people give in their lectures. We record everything and we share it with anyone else, because that's the sorry thing in the Ecourse. This year we had 2,400 applications, and I said, the capacity is 800, so for every person that we admit, we disappoint 2 others. And that's part of the thing. Yeah.
There's that interesting element, right, between what you can provide for people who participate, and then on the other hand, as you've been talking about here a little bit, what you can also provide for people who didn't make the cut for whatever reason, but who can still take in some of the material and content and results even.
Yeah. We see people downloading a lot of the materials. It's all paid with taxpayers' money, so they should do that and keep it for future use and for the inspiration in their work. Yeah. We did an evaluation of the Ecourse results that was last year, because we were struggling with 2 things, and one was people using AI. That wasn't there when we designed it 4 years ago. And the other thing is that when we ask people 3 months later, 3 months after completing the Ecourse, so how are you doing? Yeah. What did you implement? Then they'll say, okay, yeah. Actually, all my colleagues should do the same course, but then we are on the same level again. Yeah. So this year, we did some pilots last year, but this year we invited teams to apply. And they did about 40, big teams, small teams. But the idea is that if a unit, an organization, or a department within an organization, if they train together, they'll have more substance to discuss how that would affect their strategy. Yeah. And there's and that's where we designed a second phase. So after the webinars and the online learning, we have four more training workshops with a number of teams where people train on practical exercises to get to grips with the food system thinking. So it's a rich picture where you design the issue at stake, the stakeholders, the stakes or the roles that they have, and also reflecting on where intervention points, leverage points in that's food system talk, where interventions make most sense in the direction of healthy diets.
Yeah. Looking at the people who have come through and completed the Ecourse over the last few years, where do you see, or maybe you can even talk about some interesting cases, but what tends to happen after, or what do people do after?
Yeah, well, something else which you can read on NFP Connects are blogs. After the Ecourse, we invite people on a voluntary basis to write a blog about what they learned in the Ecourse and how it applies to their work. And people make really nice personal stories about, for example, the difference between going to a supermarket or a street market. Mm-hmm. How their relation with food and food habits, how it changes. And there's a lot of richness in those stories. We as NFP we want to connect to the community of food system professionals in a number of countries.
Yeah.
So reaching out to alumni and ask them how, well, just to meet up and to discuss how this food system thinking helps them to understand what's happening in their own country. Most countries have developed a pathway, a food systems transition pathway. That's something with those global events. So they agree what they want to do to reach zero hunger, or in 2030, and how they want to balance food production, concerns with the environment, and fair socioeconomic development. So these discussions are sometimes only at the national level, so people in the capital get to discuss this. But the combination to have a much wider understanding of the priorities could be they can be different in every country. But that's the interesting part, where I think a basic Ecourse helps to build a community.
Thinking back now for a little more than 4 years of Ecourse, right? How many people are we talking about that are now considered alumni once this year is completed?
Yeah, well, I must say that not everybody that we admit makes it to the finish. It's about 65%. So if we have 800 people at the start, we have 500 and something at finishing the Ecourse. Mm-hmm. Some others just only join the webinars, and some others that's what we also learned by talking to people in Kenya. Was that different people signed up from the same team. We admitted, that was for last year, we admitted 2 people and we didn't admit the other ones. They felt it was unfair. So what they decided was, Friday afternoon, we're going to sit together. We do all the homework together. So they made it into a team activity. Actually, that was what inspired me to test the idea of team training. Yeah. And that's really interesting to see that people and organizations, they want to change their interventions. They want to strategize. They want to learn how food systems thinking can help their strategy as an organization.
Wim, one thing that I also find fascinating and certainly worth sharing is this element of community when it comes to the Ecourse, right? We've discussed the content of the course, but in what other ways is this a community?
Yeah, thanks for asking. The Netherlands Food Partnership has a focus on 3 countries. Going to be more, but for the design of the current edition, we had a focus on Egypt, Ethiopia, and Kenya. So we already, before we started the Ecourse, we connected to partners working in those countries, partners with a network, of course. Yeah. So they helped us, one, in attracting and selecting participants from those 3 countries, Egypt, Kenya, and Ethiopia. And they also help people to remind, okay, the webinar is coming up, or you should finish your module. And also the technicalities of how do you graduate to the next module. And that helps, especially when English is not your first language. it helps that you have, in the case of Egypt, you have Mayada from Delphi, Egypt, help you in Arabic explain what's up.
Yeah.
In this case, she also, the organization also helps us to organize a follow-up event.
Yeah.
So in a few weeks, there's an innovation mission going to Egypt. My colleague Babette is traveling there, and on the day before the mission starts, we have an event with the participants, based in Egypt, Cairo and surroundings.
Yeah.
And they'll come together. And in our network, we also have people that connect to the multilateral organizations like FAO. So we can invite speakers. And then we make the connections that normally don't happen because people, they have their own case. They have been studying on how food system would work in the context of land fragmentation. That's what I remember from the work so far. But then it's very nice to have somebody talking about national policy or regional policy on the same topic. It's appreciated. People appreciate the opportunity to talk about food systems and how their own role can contribute to what's important for the country or the region.
Yeah. Yeah, and it adds that offline element to an online experience.
Yeah.
You had mentioned some of the content coming out of participants of the Ecourse, and I wanted to share, and we can do so now, a vlog from Ecourse participants.
Yeah.
I think for people who are listening on audio, you can just listen along normally, and if you have the means for YouTube or Spotify, you can actually watch a video, the vlog itself, right now.
Hi, my name is Mera Mari. Recently, I finished the short e-course on food system at WCDI, Wageningen. I found myself fascinated by how the value chain concept relates to the larger food system. As I inquired deeper into my research, I realized how easily these two concepts can be confused, and how important it is to understand their differences and challenges. This inspired me to make a short video to explain the differences between the value chain and food system, followed by their possible implications. Let's start with the differences.
Now, the value chains are also part of the food system, but the food system is much wider because the primary outcome of the food systems is a diet. So that is the product of different value chains, the combination of products. Because you cannot become healthy only by eating a few products. It's the diversity that matters. And this focus on diets also means that you go beyond the cycle of products. You also look at different other agents, for instance, public sector, and you are interested to see how the governance of all those activities is organized, how it brings together production and consumption, but also how it deals with sometimes opposing or conflicting outcomes. It's not only the diets, it's also the environment, it is inclusiveness. So those three outcomes sometimes conflict with each other. We call those things trade-offs. And you need governance, both public but also private governance, to overcome those trade-offs. So to be short, a value chain is part of a food system, certainly, but the food system is much wider in terms of the agencies and the products that it takes into consideration.
That difference between commodity and commodities is a real big difference, and that makes it also for me, makes the food system approach too complicated for use in practice. It's a nice theoretical model, but when it comes to practice, when it comes to the applied research projects I'm involved in, it has little use for me because I don't know where to start. It's too big, it's too comprehensive. But with the value chain approach, I can focus on dairy or any other commodity, So that is for me why I still use the dairy value chain concept in teaching, in research.
So it's not limited to one commodity or one value chain. It's often a larger problem that you try to understand. And you can come up with different interventions than a value chain intervention. If you find that there's an issue of malnutrition of children, that's the main problem, then a school feeding program may be your intervention rather than a value chain intervention.
Whereas the center of food system lens is the social dimension involved in the production and consumption of food. Social factors such as cultural preferences and health consideration are essential in the food system approach, but are typically left out in the value chain analysis. Well, further we can discover the challenges of these concepts, starting with the food system.
The participant who made the vlog is actually a teacher or a teaching assistant at Van Hal Ladestein University, one of the Dutch universities of applied science who train African mid-career professionals. And he was wondering, okay, in the course that we offer, we talk about value chains, value chain development, and then this training is about food systems. So what's the difference? How does it connect? Because market thinking is inside the food system. So he didn't stop at wondering by himself, but he started interviewing some of his own teachers, a lecturer on sustainable dairy, and also one of the speakers we had in the Ecourse, Helen Postumus, who's from Wageningen University, and who was so kind to take some time and to explain how she sees both the relation and the difference in between value chains and food systems. So
let's talk about AI. You mentioned it, and it's of course an interesting element in every sector these days, but especially in education. You mentioned the challenge and how you address that challenge, but let's get into it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the whole Ecourse is based on taking responsibility for your own learning. If people want to cheat their way, they can do it, but we don't appreciate it. We advocate for responsible use of AI, meaning that you could use a language model to get to grips with a text. But then we ask people, okay, share your prompt, and reflect on the response that you get. Yeah. So that's and we also made a manifesto, like okay, if you join this, please make responsible use of AI, and we did a guide. That's in the open space of the Ecourse. There's a guide on smart prompting. Prompting is what do you ask the language model so that you get an answer that really helps you. There's a lot of tips in this. Actually, I learned myself from this as well.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Note that Wageningen. The university is very strict on the use of AI. We're working with one of the research institutes inside Wageningen University Research, so there's more flexibility. But still, if people just copy paste their way through the course, then we kick them out. We have to kick out some repeat offenders.
Right, but it is very interesting. It's not the only element here where you've talked about how from how the Ecourse started to where it is now, these new elements that become important and also are learning, have value for both participants and facilitators. Yeah. So it's a very interesting development and sort of evolution from where I sit.
Yeah.
You had also mentioned, we were talking about once people complete the Ecourse and how that impacts the work that they do or what they do next. I was wondering, is there another example that you can share with us of what an Ecourse participant went on to do?
Yeah. So when we talk about food systems and the need to achieve zero hunger in 2030, I see that the reflection on what a healthy diet is much wider than just the carbohydrates. We come from a situation that there was not enough food, but in these days we see also in Africa people with obesitas. An intervention like a sugar tax, which was first in Chile and then in England, is a very good way to address the big corporates that bring Coke and Fanta and everything, the soft drinks on the market. They if there is an incentive, a tax incentive, then they can lower the sugar content of these soft drinks. Other examples are about the aflatoxins in food. So people realize that it's not only the quantity of food, but also the quality and the way that you eat. So proteins, I think lack of proteins is especially for children a big issue. So all these school meal programs, they should really think how to include more proteins in their menu. Can be chicken, fish, and there's much more knowledge about the relation between nutrition and health, and how a healthy diet helps to feed the next generation.
The nutrition element and the sugar tax example, is that's something that has sort of become more part of the that wasn't there initially, or
policymakers in this food system thinking, they were mostly about zero hunger.
Okay.
But if you look a bit wider, then you see also the growing problem of obesitas and non-communicable diseases. Diseases relating to bad food habits.
Yeah.
So that's where the urbanization in Africa and Asia is also changing the way that people eat. Yeah. And it's simple. If you for example think about potatoes, which is the Dutch are a champion in exporting seed potatoes, and yes, we consider that a good thing. There's also some protein, vitamins, starch, and it's a cheap product. But when it's only used in chips and fries, then we lose the health aspect of this. So if an intervention is claiming that it helps the food quality and the diet quality, then we should look at everything, not only the introduction, but also the way that people use it in urban diets. Yeah. We also think that the local support, so what I mentioned about these 3 countries, Egypt, Ethiopia and Kenya, that will help, because people have to learn to combine the online part, the online preparations with live sessions. If we manage that, then people get stimulated. They feel part of a group and they want to continue as a group. So what we see happening spontaneously is people create a WhatsApp group and they start communicating about activities or events or programs that focus on food systems.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to tap into this with information on new resources or announcing the next edition of the Ecourse.
Yeah. So what's the pitch, whether you're talking to an individual or a team, why join the Ecourse?
Yeah, well, this is basic stuff for the food system professional. If you work in agriculture or in the food sector in general, this really helps you to understand how policy on zero hunger are shaped. And it helps you understand what the type of discussions are and how food systems thinking is different from a value chain approach. It's fun to learn something new. And you meet people, interesting people from all over the world. So it brings inspiration. The most popular items in the Ecourse are the open space where people share recipes or all kind of recipes. Or we should make an what called book?
Yeah, cookbook. Yeah, coming soon.
Yeah. Or we and people also talk about the programs where they work in.
Yeah.
Or the.
So there's a networking element for the individual or for the teams. Yeah. And
these blogs are also very nice to learn. So this is also a new element. We have Gizo, that's a colleague who supports the bloggers by drafting and giving feedback on the blog. And it's really nice to see how people learn from and making learning also a personal thing. I enjoy this part of opening up minds and eyes. It's an eye opener actually.
Yeah, that's a great pitch. Thank you, Wim.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So if people wanted to know more about the Ecourse, you briefly mentioned NFP Connects, but let's make sure we outline it for people that want to, whether it's this year or in the coming years, either follow the content or even apply. What's the essential, where did they get the information?
Yeah, that's indeed NFP Connects. We usually circulate the announcement that we will have a new edition. This is usually every first quarter of the year. Yeah. That's also communicated through the embassy network. Most of the embassies, Netherlands embassies in Africa and Asia, they have a newsletter, so they include it there. Yeah. So we'll make sure that people know. Yeah. But all those people not selected this year, we invite them to reapply in the next edition, and that should they should be aware. If they sign up for the newsletter. If they sign up for the newsletter, then you know when the next edition is due. Yeah. We've also been thinking of developing a francophone version, a French version, because we noted from the data, with all those participants, we see that people who live in French-speaking countries have a lower completion rate compared to others. And we think that despite all the technical options to translate automatically, we think that we should do an extra effort for West Africa to make the content also more connected to the reality in West Africa. So it would mean that they don't recognize cases coming from East Africa or Asia. There should also be some content from their own region. Yeah. This is a new challenge that we have in front of us. Yeah. But actually, we have been developing and co-designing and organizing spin-offs every year.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do that.
Great. Yeah, very interesting, and also nice to see how you are constantly learning, it seems like, in this process. I think every story you've told so far contains an element of, we realized, or from conversations, we decided. So the process is never fully completed or finished.
No, lifelong learning, as we say.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wim. Very interesting, and look forward to more from the Ecourse. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Welcome to the Beehive, and a reminder that we'll be back with more content from the world of the Netherlands Food Partnership, learning about projects and initiatives and all that comes with it. By all means, subscribe to this podcast in any podcast platform. You can do it in either video or audio, and we'll see you next time.